Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me, as always, is Gilbert Manzano, sports who does it for Sports Illustrated, NFL staff writer. Gilbert, uh, just like you predicted, it was a blowout win for the Dallas Cowboys. The Rams lose 43-20. Just give me your takeaways right off the bat.
Yeah, that was a ugly, horrific performance from the Rams. Uh, I did call a 30-20 game here for the Cowboys, but this type of beatdown, embarrassing performance for the Rams, I did not expect that. And we've been praising Raheem Morris's defense all season here at House of Horns, but that first drive where they got two sacks, I think Byron Young, Aaron Donald, and then Dak Prescott just overcame it, went down the field, and then just scored. And then after that, I just felt like there was an avalanche coming. The pick six from Stafford, they couldn't get anything going offensively. We keep criticizing Sean McVay's offense, like again, 20 points stuck. If they would have got 24, 27, it wouldn't even have mattered. Yeah, they had a late rally, but they have a lot of problems offensively. And now when you have the defense also struggling, it's a whole lot of problems, Victor.
Yeah, and I mean it was just a bad game all around, Gilbert. It was the offense, special teams, the defense. I think blame can go all the way around. Usually we've been, saying how good the defense has been. This game it was all the way around. It wasn't, there wasn't one particularly party that was bad in this game. It was all the way around. So um it was just tough to see, especially from this kind of team what we've seen so far this season, and then just to see it all go down the toilet in this game. We talked about it. We saw this coming, but not in this way. And I think there's a lot. I think the biggest things, though, Gilbert, is the injury to Matthew Stafford with the thumb. What does that do now for the rest of the season? Is he out? Next week, and yes, you have the bye coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, do you rest him and then you try to get him back by then? I think that's the biggest thing coming out of this game.
Yeah, this performance and that injury before the trade deadline really makes you ask a lot of tough questions very quickly. And, I'm sure they're probably asking themselves, and shout out to Daniel Calderon, like, probably trading Aaron Donald, Cup, and Stafford for a bag of chips. I don't think that's going to happen. But Aaron Donald, who keeps flirting with retirement, what if he wants to go somewhere and you're trying to clear cap space too to start a new era? Like after that performance against the Cowboys, you got to think about it. Do you really want to just fight for the 7th seed or a wild card seed, and then maybe you get lucky and you win a road game, but you're not going past that. And this team that we all sort of expected before the season started was growing pains. They lack talent. Yeah, they had Puka Nakua. Yeah, they were scheming up some great designs, but they're not getting things offensively, with the points. Like you can't be having 20.7 points every single week. And we saw that coming a mile away. Now the defense being this bad, we did not expect that. So you really got to ask yourself questions. And it depends on the Stafford injury. Like say the thumb's going to keep him out. He's a tough player. I was going to say tough SOB, but I could say SOB. So we know Stafford comes back very quickly, but he's been dealing with the hip injury too, a lot of injuries, and maybe that could be the reason why he's not going to admit it, but that could be the reason why he's not able to get guys in. Like when Stafford's on point, like in that Indy game, he's getting 3 to 4 guys involved in the offense, and he can't really do that. And I get it, when the defense can't stop Dak Prescott, it makes everything tough. But if he is out for a lengthy period, I say be a seller at the deadline, or just stand pat. Don't even make a move and just keep doing what you're doing. So regardless of what's going on with Stafford's injury or not, I think they're probably just going to stand pat and not make a move, because is it even worth it for this team? And the only question I ask myself is Aaron Donald, because that guy's still playing at a high level. He's making a lot of money. Does he want to do it for a contender?
Yeah, and he had his best game so far this season. He had 2 sacks. He played really well. I mean, but the problem is too, Gilbert. Like, if you're doing this stopgap thing where you're trying to build for next season when you have cap space, you still need talent. And I get it. You need draft picks. This is why you don't draft. You don't give away your draft picks this season. You hold on to them, and yes, you want more draft picks, but at the same time, you need talent, and you need to keep someone like the Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford. it's kind of hard to trade. I get it. Like, and this will be one of my big discussions is like people just think that the trade deadline for the NFL is like the NBA and Major League Baseball. It's not, man. Like it's really quiet. I've already heard from experts saying how quiet they expect it to be. I think people kind of want the NFL to be like the NBA and the Major League Baseball, but in terms of trades, you hardly see it. We went like 20 years where you maybe saw one or two trades happen, and I think people just because of content, we believe that there's going to be a bunch of trades that happen, but it's kind of hard to move a lot of these contracts as well.
Yeah, and then shout out to our guy Fernando Ramirez. Welcome to the booth, Sean McVay. Yeah, maybe he might go back and reconsider his I guess dream of going and becoming a TV analyst after
And
this kind of clunky
And
year.
he hasn't been good, Gilbert. We talked
Yeah,
about the offense. Like, and I had one of my head scratching moments today was him not calling, throwing the red flag for a challenge flag on that Puka Nakua catch. It was, it was on the other side of the 2 minute warning. Puka Nakua makes a great catch where he flicks the ball up before it hits the ground, and then he grabs it and he tumbles around with it, and they called it a no catch. And then he had all three of his timeouts. I'm like, why aren't you challenging this? I just don't understand. It's just another head scratching moment for McVay, and I get it. He had his kid this week. Maybe he's not there all the way, but it was another head scratching game for McVay.
yeah. The TV broadcast made a joke about it. Oh, maybe he's not getting enough sleep, but this is not new for Sean McVay's kind of blunders this year. And we were very critical in this week's preview for Cowboys Rams. Like, hey, this offense is overrated. Let's be real. It's because a couple of tape heads see a great design for Puka or Cooper Cup. Hey, Sean McVay still has it. Yeah, he can scheme up a play every now and then, but as a full head coach, it's not working right now. And he did a great job early in the month to make people believe, hey, this team has something. And credit to Les Snead, he was hitting on draft picks. Byron Young still played well, but they're not in the level of the Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers, all teams they lost to, even the Bengals too. So, at some point you got to ask yourself, just I agree with you, Vic. Maybe you keep all your players and you just stand pat. Just kind of just keep going what you're doing. That was a plan all along, right? Fix the salary cap, get younger, keep your draft picks, and then go to next year. And they got lucky. They're competitive. They're not going to be this terrible franchise that we all expected come for 2023. So you know, but I think today was a reality check. Okay, this team is probably not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to fork them for that wild card. It's still up for grabs there, but where's that really going to get you? And then you know, it's going to be a lot of quarterbacks in this draft, and we're going to see what they do with that. Whatever pick they land on, and maybe we're doing this too soon. But Stafford can't stay healthy. We got to be honest about that. He's older, and when he's healthy, he's doing well. He's playing well, but he hasn't been right since the hip injury. Sean McVay hasn't been helping either, and this defense needs a lot of talent. And now and before I end here, the thing with Aaron Donald, I follow this team enough to know they're going to talk to their big time players. Like if they're going to Aaron Donald and saying, "What do you want to do here, man? We owe you everything. We want to have your input." And Aaron Donald probably would have only said the trade to one team, probably the Pittsburgh Steelers. The
Yeah,
Steelers are not that good. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with the Steelers.
yeah.
Added another defensive playmaker because of Kenny Pickett. So other than that, I don't see anything happening. And you're probably right. It's going to be a quiet trade deadline for the Rams.
Yeah, and I expect that. I just want to give a shout out to Daniel Calderon. He said, "Hey, if Aaron Donald wants another ring, he will request a trade." And like you pointed out, it's going to be hard just because. Also, you got to think about legacy too, man. Like I said, it's not like it's if you're gonna make trades, they're gonna happen during the off season. But like I said, when you have that much, you're gonna have that much cap space in the off season. You want to make sure that especially when you're trying to build something here in LA, you want someone like Aaron Donald to retire. You want to put a statue outside of SoFi. Like he's going to be that first guy that gets that statue out there. So I always think about those kind of legacy things. And so when you're trying to trade, like a trade right now doesn't make any sense, especially when you're trying to be good next season. And the other problem is going to be, Gilbert, you're probably going to lose Raheem Morris with the great coaching that he's done this season. So that's another thing is how you're going to build this defense too. But we'll get to that when the offseason comes. But in terms of this game, I thought the Stafford injury was huge. Outside of that, I'll just give you some stats. Stafford finished before he left for the thumb injury. He finished 13 of 22 for 162 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Royce Freeman, actually, the two running backs did a good job for what they had to do this. I missed out on that prop bet with Daryl Henderson. He finished 12 for 31 yards. Freeman, when I think he ended up with 9 carries for 44 yards. And then the thing I wanted to go over with you, I know you got to go soon, is Cooper Cup and Nakua. Another, they still doesn't look like it's working out as they're not meshing well together yet, Gilbert.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say that this offense probably was better without Cooper Cup, and I think it goes back to Stafford. Like he likes to lock in on one guy, and he's not spreading the ball around. And maybe I shouldn't blame him because when you got pressure coming at you from Michael Parsons, you don't have time to read what's out there and spread the ball around. And so I don't know. Like that's definitely a coaching question. And I remember last year when offense was so bad, people were gonna put all the blame on. I'm already blanking on the OC from last year's name, but they all put the blame on him, and they don't want to put it on Sean McVay. But they're probably maybe they'll do the same thing with Mike LaFleur. But that's 2 years in a row of bad offense here. And again, they were doing a good job the first month, but they can't figure it out, and it just makes me question what's going to happen with the future here. With Matthew Stafford, and we'll see. But another reason why I picked the Cowboys to win, in a 10-point game, I didn't see whatever this was, 23-point game, was they lost their identity. When they were winning games was Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams was leading this team, and when they're balanced and they have like somebody you fear, no one's gonna fear Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson. Like you're gonna stop Puka and Cooper. But when Kyron was out there, it was an impact. It was like, okay, we got to account for two ways of them scoring, passing and running, and with the running attack. So they haven't done that. And when you're probably locking in on the best wide receivers, you're gonna have games like that. And the Cowboys have a good defense too, and they're at home. They've won 11 consecutive games at home, and they were coming off a bye week. That was a bad hand the Rams have gotten the last 2 weeks, but they should have beaten the Steelers a week ago at home because you had to face this daunting challenge, and they came out flat. They got smacked in the mouth. They had a little rally, but by then the game was over.
No, you're right. I mean, you called it. You said this, and now you're going to Green Bay next week. In terms of my final thoughts here, it's just the offense continues. Yeah, you finally had a bad game from the defense, but you still have problems with this offense. Hopefully, things get fixed next week against Green Bay, but we'll see what happens with the injury. And I think that's the biggest thing is, you kind of saw that you might get blown out in this game, but now you're just trying to see how things go with Stafford because losing him is tough, especially if trying to get one of those final spots in the wild card going forward, Gilbert.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say because that was such a beatdown and that was ugly, and they could definitely beat the Packers. The Packers are not good at all, and what would that be? 4-5, right? They're 3-5 right now.
Yeah, if
Uh,
they get to 4-5, they at least have. I mean, the Commanders lost, the Buccaneers lost, so and then the Saints won. So you still have a chance for that 7 seed. It's just what can you
yeah,
do, and I think that's the biggest thing. Lastly, Gilbert, before we go and we step aside here, who gets your 12 pack? I know it was an ugly game, but if you don't want to give it to anybody,
I'm
that's
gonna say
fine. I
nobody.
just
Like,
no,
nobody deserves a 12 pack for this. Was a terrible performance, and like I'm ready to write this team off, Vic. And they're going
yeah.
in a decline, and I get it. People want to be optimistic, and they have a bunch of games to go. You could easily go 4-5, but you know I'll end with this. Like you better beat Green Bay and you get come off the bye week and sure, stay quiet in the trade deadline and you stand pat because sometimes when you go into the playoffs, you win a game or two, or maybe just one game. I don't see his team winning 2 games, but that builds a winning culture. This team hasn't had winning since the 2020 Super Bowl. They were terrible a year ago. So I agree with you saying let's just stay stand pat. If you're the Rams, you're asking yourself that question. So this was a horrendous performance all around. I don't know if anybody should get the 12 pack. Maybe you have somebody here, but that you want to give it to. But if they get the wild card, that's fine. It might hurt your draft stock, but at least you were building that winning environment, and you're gonna say, "Hey, we're never a tanking squad over here."
Yeah, and I'm just gonna mention this. Daniel Calderon at this point, as long as the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, I'm good. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. As long as one of your rivals doesn't win it, you're always feeling good. So And then I'll just give it to Habersack, the kicker. Man, he came in and
True.
he kicked 2 field goals. It looks like they found somebody for now, Gilbert. I know that was our pick. That was one of the things we were looking at. So that I'll give it to him.
All
But
right.
outside of
Wasn't all
that,
bad then.
it wasn't all bad. That I'll give one little highlight here, a positive, but that's all I can give you as of right now. All right, Gilbert, that's all I have for you today. You got to go. You're driving out to SoFi to cover tonight's game between the Chargers and Bears. So we thank you for giving us this time. And with that, we're there's not much for me to talk about after this. So you close us out now because
Yeah.
that's all I have for you guys today.
Yeah, if you're watching this video and you're just frustrated and you're watching a replay and after you're so mad, you finally say, okay, I'm gonna watch House of Horns to get some analysis. And it wasn't the best analysis today because it was just an ugly game. Comment here under the video and just let out your frustrations, your takeaways, what they can do to improve. Can the season still be salvaged? What about the trade deadline? Just give us your comments. We always like to see the feedback, and it helps us break down the preview show for next week. And obviously, no one wants to hear this right now, but we're giving away a Puka Nakua jersey. So check out every episode every Wednesday night or Thursday morning for details on that. And that's my email. You can also email Victor at compasonthebeat.com. And if you want to vent more, like a paragraph or two, we'll take it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we'll bring it up on the preview show. Now that you said that people have been contacting you on the email. If you guys give us some feedback, like just give us your questions for next week against Green Bay. We want to share more mailbag. If you guys give us that feedback, we will share that mailbag. But that's all I have for you guys.
All right.
So close us out, Gilbert.
All right. Terrible Sunday, but there's always next week. So on that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.